Looking at the technological advances, I used to be on dial-up looking for...
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. So John Cena has now learned, officially, the high cost of going to Hollywood. And that is, you're going to have to make sacrifices. You're not walking in whole and walking out whole. It's not going to happen. So what took place? Well, John Cena was out on a promotional tour of the Fast and Furious 9, F9. And it was earmarked to be a Taiwanese release to begin the global release. It was going to start in Taiwan. While in Taiwan, John Cena said, Taiwan is the first country to see F9. Well, this pissed off the Chinese because they believe, like Hong Kong, Taiwan is still part of China. And so John Cena had to back up, back up, and then release this apology in Mandarin, where he talks about how much he loves the Chinese people and he respects China and that he made a mistake. And so, of course, he did this for the success of F9 in China, which is a huge market. And one of the biggest markets in the world, to the point where Disney literally bends over backwards for China. So, of course, he's going to have to. He's only one guy. And it is not just this one movie, right? He also has other movies coming out. He's got Suicide Squad. He's got the TV show. If he doesn't apologize, his career, as far as Hollywood is concerned, is over. And he's barely getting started. So there was a really smart guy's article. It's in the Atlantic. It's called the Values Tariff. That in order to do business with China, you have to surrender your values. We've seen the NBA do it. We've seen Disney do it. We've seen Disney cover the faces of black people on posters, which I will put it should be on the screen. If I did it correctly, it should be on the screen now. They not only covered the faces of the black people in Black Panther after giving black people all of these Black Lives Matter lectures and letting the actors go off and lecture black people about how their lives matter. They covered all the black people up on the Black Panther poster. After they beat you over the head with how progressive Star Wars was going to be, they took the black guy either off the poster or they minimized him on the poster for the Chinese release. So let people tell you, oh, black people matter. I love them so much. And then you cover their faces. And it's a very capitalistic thing, too, for them to do. Because when you pay money to go see this fucking movie, ain't nothing but black people in it. Like Black Panther is like 80% black people. So like, are you going to put like ink blotches over their faces or something? But that's really the nonsense. And you having to deal with China is you have to take double standards. Right? You have to take the two kinds of standards. And plus some people are just, they're anti the Reds, which I am. I'm vehemently anti-communist. Vehemently. But John Cena didn't exactly do that. He apologized for the Taiwanese mistake, but he did not say Taiwan was part of China, which is what some people wanted. Now, it's probably going to do damage to the movie. Who knows? But state repression in China is a big problem. But before we get to state repression in China, I should explain for people who might not understand what's the big deal. All right. There's two pieces that used to be a part of China that are no longer part of China. Hong Kong. Hong Kong was occupied by the British, and it was made independent of China when the British left. So Hong Kong is not a part of China. It is an independent, almost, I guess you want to say, city-state. But the Chinese have been trying to retake it. And pretty much, I'm pretty sure they kind of have. There's been a lot of people in Hong Kong who are on the Chinese take. But Taiwan is a little bit different. Taiwan is also called the Republic of China, right? So that's what China was called before the commies took over. When Mao Zedong or Mao Zedong or whatever the fuck you want to call him, when he took over the country, all of the people who believed in an independent, non-communist China, they escaped. And they escaped to this little island, this little cluster of islands that is called Taiwan now. And the entire world, with the exception of China, understands or respects Taiwan's independence. So when John Cena said that Taiwan is the first country to see F9, he is not incorrect. right? He is not incorrect. That means he is correct. China got offended because, like Hong Kong, they believe Taiwan is still a part of China, right? Even though the Taiwanese are like, no, we're not part of China. And the Hong Kongians, or whatever, the Hong Kongese, or whatever the fuck, they're like, we are also not a part of China. China was like, you know what? I disagree. And they've been trying to retake the island of Taiwan for years. And usually it's been protected by the United States and other foreign governments. So this is the high cost of having to deal with China in Hollywood, or being in Hollywood in general. Some people literally bend over backwards. Some people bend over forwards. Some people twist themselves into pretzels in order to do business with China. Now, the reason why I'm not as angry at John Cena as I would be at most other people, like I was at LeBron James, let's put it like that, because John Cena is not trying to both sides the issue. Like you had LeBron James, who was kissing China's ass. Meanwhile, lecturing America about white privilege and Black Lives Matter. But he didn't have shit to say when China was covering the faces of black people in movies or movie posters and all that kind of shit. He ain't got nothing to say. Now, John Cena's not in that position, right? He merely apologized for recognizing Taiwan. And then, of course, there was people who wanted him to say that Taiwan is a part of China. He didn't say that. He just said, I respect the Chinese people. I respect China. Very sorry for my mistake. Which is still, it's a half bow. Okay? That's a half bow. But there are people like LeBron who are forehead on the ground, like in Japan. Come in that side. On, face down in the carpet. Full bow. So John Cena's going to take his licks because the Americans don't like China. Rightfully so. China is a repressive one-party state regime in which they follow people around the country. They have that crazy social credit system where if you sneeze and don't say, excuse me, you can't go to the bank or something stupid like that. They have all of these high-tech devices where you can pay for things using your eyelids or eyeballs or whatever, facial recognition and thumbprints and all that kind of stuff. And I bet you the government has an entire cache of information on every citizen in the country. It is repressive as hell. It is a horrible place, China. But Hollywood is owned by China. They are. It's the world's biggest market. So they force their actors to have two sets of values, American values and Chinese values. Now, John Cena has not said anything that I feel at least that I feel like he's preaching to Americans one thing and doing different things in China. John Cena is just learning. He can't play Superman in both countries, that he's going to have to bend over. He's going to have to take some of it. Because in America, John Cena is pretty upstanding. He doesn't say too much one way or the other. If he does have a political position, he keeps it mostly to himself. Like when like it was said that he didn't want to go to Saudi Arabia for, because of the Jamal Khashoggi thing. He just didn't go. He didn't put out a statement saying that he wasn't going. He didn't preach about how other people shouldn't go. He just decided, I'm not going. Didn't make a statement and just didn't go. That doesn't work for me, brother. Scheduling conflicts, whatever you want to say, he just didn't go. Right? Ultimately, that's the better way of handling these things. If you have a problem, you keep it to yourself, you just don't go. But in certain situations, it is inevitable that when it comes up, you will have to deal with China. And the real strength of whether a guy is going to succeed is going to be how they deal with China. And John Cena has gotten a D, not an F, a D in dealing with China. And I will give him some credit because John Cena is not trying to preach two different standards. He's not going out here complaining about white privilege and Black Lives Matter and how America's in racist and all this kind of crap, while at the same time okay with China covering up the faces of black people on posters. He's not talk about how oppressive America is and how America needs to liberate black people and Hispanics. Meanwhile, China has all of these people in prisons and they're filming the movie outside of the fucking prisons like they were in Disney, like Disney did. I'm not going to put John Cena in that basket, but he's getting pretty close. You know, like The Rock is a complete sellout. Like when he did with Biden and Kamala Harris was full, come in inside, Japanese bowing, you know, head on carpet. You know, that was a complete submission to Hollywood, but that's his career. You know, that's his career now. He's not a wrestler anymore. He's Hollywood. Now Cena he's got one foot in the lake. You know, he's pretty much done wrestling. So his career is essentially going to be Hollywood. And if he wants to see not only F9 make money, but he wants to see the Suicide Squad make money, his TV shows make money, all the other stuff that he's got to do, he's going to have to bend over for China. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. So there's going to be a lot of people, and so far I've seen a lot of people are pretty upset and disappointed in John Cena, especially since he was the good old American hero. And that's something that really you can't ignore, you know, but he can't both sides the issue. He thought he might be able to, but when you go Hollywood and you have to go global and go national, this kind of stuff comes up. Now, John Cena was learning Chinese to help WWE expansion into China. And this is why I said I'm not concerned about WWE doing business with Saudi Arabia. I'm worried about WWE doing business with China. That's what I'm concerned with. And this just takes us one step closer of why I am concerned about that. You know, I was concerned about it when John Cena started learning Mandarin. I was like, why the fuck is he learning Mandarin? He didn't learn French for WWE to go into France. You know, like he didn't learn German. But, you know, we're dealing with a different kind of society. These people expect for you to bend over. They expect for you to submit to them in order to do business with them. And in a capitalist country, if you want that money, you got to do it. And Cena did it. And he gave it a half bow. Like I said, it was a half bow, but he bowed. And I can't dig it. I don't dig it. But I'm not going to rip them as much as all the political types are. The political types that are frothing at the mouth about China, they can rip them apart. I understand what it is, and I also understand that, you know, he's got to have a future. But as long as he doesn't go out here and start preaching about how America's systemically racist and going to Black Lives Matter protests and all that kind of shit, until he start doing all that kind of stuff, I will be like, look, he just had to tell the Chinese that he apologized to them for, you know, something and saying like, oh, I didn't know, you know. He could play ignorant. He's an American. What the hell did he know about Taiwan and China and Hong Kong and all that shit? He doesn't know. So eat the L on that one. But when he starts preaching to Americans about systemic oppression and talking about having transgender children and all that kind of shit, then I'll have a different view. But that's then. This is now. And now is we see the high cost of going to Hollywood, is you're going to have to surrender your values. But we already knew that. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later.